Hi, a couple days ago, the Trump administration surprisingly seemed to have closed the case on the Epstein files, a massive surprise to the MAGA movement as he heavily campaigned on that and pledged total transparency. However, for anyone watching a bit more closely, his campaign might have just been a facade to threaten the pulling out of NATO to get European nations militarized by opposing Trump, reverse psychology here, and ultimately to further escalate the Ukraine war and the Middle East conflict. Anyways, no list of Epstein clients of high-profile pedophiles, presumably for blackmail by Mossad, will be made publicly available for the reason that there's nothing to see. However, just looking up Jeffrey Epstein on Wikipedia shows many names of people having regularly interacted with Epstein, and very closely. And there's a massive rap sheet of civil cases, allegations, convictions, arrests, starting from the 1970s when he was a math school teacher. So the rap sheet includes rape, sexual assault, and sex trafficking. It is worth looking at the scale of things. Epstein owned a private Boeing 727, nicknamed Lolita Express, flying high-profile guests to the Virgin Islands, specifically Little St. James, also called Epstein Island. Apparently, all his many mentions were wired to record his guests committing crimes on underage girls. Here are two quotes from 2002, which nicely sums this up. Donald Trump said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's lots of fun to be with. It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Epstein also in 2002 said, "I invest in people, that's what I do." Okay, let's look at the short bombshell press conference showing Attorney General Pam Bondi, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Donald Trump. What can we learn from their body language, their demeanor? Also, much has been discussed on social media. I will give my 5 cents.
And released yesterday with Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did, and also could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of
Yeah, sure.
Could I just interrupt for a second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First,
To make a long story short, this looks like a massive admission of guilt by trying to derail the questioning. So the reporter asked about the Epstein list, why Bondi did not make it publicly available months ago, and 30 seconds later, I counted, he pretends to be outraged. Outrage is a spontaneous, overpowering act. You don't sit there calmly for 30 seconds and nod along. Are you still talking about, pause, Jeffrey Epstein? Originally, I saw a clip starting right here, and I assumed someone made a vague comment without naming Epstein explicitly, maybe interrupting a discussion of the floods in Texas. But no, the reporter clearly said, unmistakably, Epstein. The pause is clearly a basic attempt of distancing himself from Epstein, his friend of 15 years. However, it looks like bad acting, like this is just a show. At the end, he puts his hand under the table, a classic hiding something demeanor. He also uses guilt by mentioning the Texas disaster, like it is a more pressing issue than hundreds of abused underage girls. Guilt and shaming are emotionally primitive, blunt, and ethically questionable coercion tactics, along with fear-mongering, passive aggression, love bombing, pitting, and gaslighting. Okay, let's start from the beginning again.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former leader.
So the question was whether he worked for a domestic or foreign intelligence agency, and she shakes her head. So that would indicate no.
Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency.
So interestingly, now she nods, basically saying yes, unless it was just confirming that this person said that, and not about Epstein himself.
Could you resolve whether or not he did, and also could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the next step?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey, could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
So now she looks down, kind of in shame, but smiles when Trump ridicules the reporter and protects Epstein. This looks truly psychopathic. I'm guessing they're all part of a club of immensely powerful, twisted people. And Rubio looks sedated. Like he doesn't understand at all what is going on. There's no facial expression. Like he's a bystander and extra on a movie. You might script a scene like that to make it easy and fail-safe, to just make this about a back and forth between Bondi and Trump.
We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering for
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on it.
So Bondi keeps tucking her hair away behind her ear. This does not look like a pacifier in a stressful situation. It looks just incredibly vain, like she's a little traumatized girl in a cult without any empathy. And she keeps doing it.
Epstein, at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client.
Here we see a false start. She interrupts herself, corrects herself. That could just be an indication of stress and nervousness, or it could be a result of high cognitive load when lying. So lying takes in a tremendous amount of energy to keep all the bits and pieces coherent and lined up.
About the client.
So here she uses the quotation mark emblem with her fingers. In a way, she's distancing herself from the loaded question. She talks slowly, like she's talking to a child or a stupid person, pretending to be angry, stressing each word in the same way. And also she pretends to be kind of outraged or angry about the question. There's a bit of anger in this response, and she's showing her teeth.
And my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Every word is stressed very slowly, showing anger and ridiculing the reporter.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
Child porn downloaded by the disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. So she showed a nice photogenic disgust expression here, pulling the lip up, crinkling beside the nose, implying he was just a normal creep, not someone with a Boeing 727 flying celebrities and politicians to rape girls and filming it.
Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day.
Never be released, never gonna see the light of day. Here she uses a logical fallacy, a well-known logical and rhetorical tactic called ignoring the real question. She redirects the question to a straw man. No one wants to see the videos, just arrests and justice.
To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. and the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive.
So there were another 1.5 false starts, at least one, about the missing minute. Definitely and not conclusive don't work together.
But the evidence prior to it was
So one way to keep the lies together is to slow down the speech, and see, that's what she does here. She gets slower and slower, stressing every word. It's a good tactic.
when he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old from
So every year, every night, again, a false start or a correction.
1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
That's it on Epstein. At least 3 false starts. So as she's 59, I think, she looks more like in her mid-40s. Wonder how that works. And she's an experienced attorney. We can, I think, exclude nervousness. She makes me conclude it is cognitive load due to the increased effort of keeping track of all the lies and making them sound coherent. Just wanted to go very briefly to the beginning of the video again.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mystery.
See how calm Donald Trump is. He looks completely collected, looks down like he's concentrating. He's blinking at a very low rate. Super calm. With the hands under the table, so it looks very calculated. Like the whole episode was planned. And pulling something off, being completely calm, of course looks super psychopathic. So in summary, Trump used the Epstein file to get elected, in my opinion. He blinded MAGA by going a bit after illegal immigration, and now uses his presidency to increase the drop height for societal collapse, to maximize damage, to escalate and create chaos, and ultimately to create new order out of chaos. So hope you liked this. This is of course only my opinion. There might be very different ways of looking at it. But nevertheless, I hope you found this at least useful with some interesting ideas. And I look forward to reading your comments. And I talk to you next time. Bye.